Motorsport 411 presents
all the four- and two-wheeled action.
Motorsport 411 with Sean Cardovillis.
Welcome to Motorsport 411, your home for all your four- and two-wheel action in Africa. Coming up in this episode, we find out all about tarmac racing in Kenya as we speak to Delta Motorsports Club chairman Umang Soni, and we get the latest motorsport news from South Africa as we speak to journalist Colin Hastie of Raceday TV.
All the four- and two-wheeled action. Motorsport 411.
Welcome to the episode. So the second round of the Tarmac Championship was held in Naivasha recently. I got to speak to the club chairman of Delta Motorsport, Umang Soni, and asked him how the event went.
Yeah, we had a great event in Naivasha. Was very exciting. We had a few newer drivers and new actors who came and showed us interest. So we got some good new permanent drivers, and they were really excited to see what we were doing as they had seen it for the first time. And the event on its own went well, despite the few issues with weather in the morning. But I think the event ran really well.
All right. How was the competition on the track?
The competition was good. You know, it's a slightly loose surface compared to normal tarmac tracks that we go to, which is the go-kart tracks. So a little bit slippery, and the dynamics are a little bit different. So it made it more competitive for even people who are coming with, more OEM stock sort of cars. So it made it a very good challenge for all.
When you're talking about the surface on the track, just tell us about it. I've been to the service park and it is tarmac. Just explain what the problem was exactly.
So yes, it is tarmac, but we do get a few loose chippings on the surface. And you know, as we keep driving on the surface, you see some little bit of degradation. So you find that we get loose chippings and you end up starting to lose a bit of traction. But I think more was in the beginning when it had rained and we had a few water puddles in some of the sections. That is the reason why it was getting worse.
Okay, you are involved with Delta Motorsports. So just tell us exactly what you do with them.
Okay, so I'm the chairman at Delta Motorsports Club. And we formed Delta in it was, I think, end 2018, and the main idea was to, continue to grow tarmac motorsports with the assistance of KMSF and FIA, follow guidelines and try to make the sport as safe as possible and reachable to all in Kenya. So that was the main reason why we formed Delta Motorsports.
Now, I know it's been a tough time of late with COVID and the economy. Just tell us exactly why entries have been lower than usual.
So like you rightly mentioned, with COVID, a lot of people are worried still to go out in large gatherings. Also, the economic situation of the country and, the spending power generally is a little bit of an issue. So we are seeing slightly lower numbers because, it's not only paying the entrance fee, it's to make sure that the car is ready to race as well and the maintenance that goes with it. But also, we also have a few costs that come, with going on to a national championship. So due to some of these reasons, it has been a little bit difficult for some of the drivers to accept, especially when we have still a few events that are going on where these sort of costs are not involved.
Now, one of the good things about what you're doing, you're involved with the KMSF. Just tell us how that partnership is going.
Yeah, I think the partnership is going great. I know that we are facing low numbers with the participants and all, but I think it's the right way to take any sort of sport. Any sort of sport has to be associated with the federation, and we're getting good support from them and FIA. We recently got a new timing system, which is pretty new, and it really makes things much more possible in terms of organizing this head-to-head races and few other modes that it has. And together with that, they're also assisting. They have mentioned that they're assisting us in trying to get more sponsors and all this sort of stuff, right? So I think at the end of the day, it will help grow the motorsport. Every time you bring new change, KMSF is a bit of a change to the tarmac motorsport discipline. So you will find a few ups and downs and a few glitches and here and there, but I think it will grow for sure.
Now, you got some impressive cars that compete in the event. Can you tell us about some of the entries in the event?
Yeah, we do have some very good high-performance vehicles. We had hosted a drag event in 2019, and we had some really powerful vehicles, and with some very good drivers as well, together with some of the cars that take part on the circuits, on the time trials, and the Nivasha head-to-head. So we have got some really, really good drivers and some really, really good performing vehicles, and it is getting very challenging and competitive as we keep going on. Some of the people are gaining interest in Tarmac Motorsports, and we are seeing that new entries that are coming in who have a lot of capability, in terms of posting really good times and giving challenges to the people who have been up there.
Yeah, if I'm not wrong, I think you got a Toyota Corolla 90 that looks quite impressive. You've got Golfs, Subarus. It's quite impressive, the turnout of cars at these events.
Yes, like I mentioned, we are getting a diverse crowd, and we have tried to keep the regulation together with KMSF as easy as possible to allow for people to bring in their regular street cars and be able to race, because we're still at a grassroots level. And everybody understands we can't put stringent requirements, but at the same time, make sure it is safe enough for people to compete. So we are restricting in terms of the speeds that these cars would go to and all. But that is attracting a lot of a very diverse sort of entry list with guys coming up with different cars. We also have Audis, the luxury vehicles. We have, like you mentioned, the Toyota 90 that came and took part. We have some two-wheel Suzuki Swifts and all that. So yeah, it's turning out to be good.
Fantastic. And in terms of sponsorship, how's it going? I understand that you're personally involved with the sponsorship as well.
Yeah, it's something that we wanted to do from back in the day. My brother and one of our close friends had an accident, and from there on, we had a bit of a break in motorsports. So I've been trying to do this with my partner, Joe. Trying to pay a tribute to them, and in their honor we want to try and grow the motorsports. We had a vision back in the day to grow this to another level, so we're still continuing to find ways in which we can make Tarmac Motorsports grow in the country, and hopefully we can get to mainstream like the rallies and the autocrosses and all.
Good stuff. Umang, where and when is the next event?
So the next event would be at either Whistling Morans or Nivasha. We have 2 events remaining for this year, and we're just trying to figure out which event will come first. And it should be sometime in October.
Umang, just tell us about the Red Bull sponsorship.
Yeah, we got this. Red Bull wanted to sponsor something for our events, and they're looking to do a show and an event with us, which more details will be posted shortly. I'm still trying to figure out the dates with them. Once those have been finalized, we shall definitely inform the market about it.
Why do you love motorsports so much?
It's a bit of a difficult question to answer, but we've always, been intrigued by cars. We've always been car enthusiasts, and I guess it's the only way, when you want to push your car to the limits, you do it on a track, and it keeps you off trying funny things on the road. So I think motorsports, it's just been in our blood from long back. We came into the country in the 80s, so we've not been around for a very long time. So we've not been in the motorsport scene, but it's been something that we've always wanted to do, which is why we have this passion to grow the sport. Even though we are very busy, it's been very difficult to put our time to grow the sport, but we are trying our level best. Just finally,
where can we find out more about Tarmac racing in Kenya?
I think the best place to look for this information would be, the social media platforms, where all the information on the upcoming events is posted. It's marketed all over. And I think it'd be great if you can get some exposure on the days of the events. When you're present at the event and when you hear about the event is 2 different things. So being able to be present at the event and get first-hand information on these races, on the Tarmac Motorsports, would be great.
You do have a website as well, don't you?
Yeah, we do have a website, so all the updates are posted on the website as well, and you can catch some information there.
Okay, what's the website?
It's called deltamotorsports.org.
Awesome. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much for speaking to us. And of course, we'll keep in touch with you in regards to Tarmac Motorsport. Umang Soni.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
That's the chairman of the Delta Motorsport Club, Umang Soni. We'll be back.
All the four- and two-wheeled action.
Motorsport 411.
Welcome back. Now let's get the latest motorsports news from South Africa and speak to Colin Hastie of Raceday TV. Colin, the SA Rally Championship has been held this year. How's it gone so far?
Sean, it's been very interesting. You know, we've had a number of new cars arrive. Chris Kutzer and Greg Godrich have built a new Mazda 2. That is it is the most beautiful rally car I've ever seen. Truly built in South Africa. Truly a world-class production. And then Guy Bottrell is running 2 Toyotas, one for himself and one for Madla Malikani. And then JJ Potgieter has got the Hyundai. And Terence Joubert has also got his Etios. So from a four-wheel drive point of view, things are growing really, really well. And the next rally is Delmos Rally on the 7th and 8th of October. So I think that we're going to have, by my calculation, we should have 8 or 9 four-wheel drive cars in the top class, which is showing some really good growth. So we're pretty happy about that.
Yeah, there seems to be a new lease of life. And what's really impressive, these cars being built in South Africa.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a big push for, I think, what the guys are calling an ARC, Africa Rally Championship kind of spec, which is essentially four-wheel drive R4 kit car kind of spec, with a 2-liter turbo engine, but running a Group N spec. So it's a pretty much a standard motor, an unstressed motor. And the idea with that is to get somewhere up over 10,000 rally kilometers before rebuild on those things, to try and manage the costs while still delivering reasonable power and torque. So the Mazda and the Hyundai are still built to the old R4 kit car formula, and then Terence Joubert in the Toyota's got a 2-liter motor in it, and then Guy and Mandla have both got 2-liter turbos in their Toyota. Then of course we've got 3 Subarus also running, and they will end up running to that ARC spec as well. So it's exciting times. And you know, you talk about a new lease of life. The National Rally Championship Committee have put in an incredible amount of work, to source the funding to hold all of the events, and to try and work out a level playing field for all the cars, so that it doesn't just become a dollar race and a horsepower race, that there's some kind of equity between the cars, and it seems to be working really well.
Now, the big issue would be homologation for international standards. So what's the latest regarding those cars?
Okay, so there's a couple of different international standards. One is full FIA homologation for any WRC event run anywhere else in the world other than Africa. So that is and it involves some really, really expensive stuff, foam in the doors, a different spec of seat, that sort of thing. So that's WRC spec. Then there's a specification that is for regional rallying. Now, within the FIA structure, Africa as a whole is a region. I mean, it's one of the largest continents, and I mean, the Europeans don't actually understand how truly large Africa is. And within that region, each region can homologate a regional specification of the car it's still incredibly safe, but it's one down on running all the super expensive FIA homologated kits. So for instance, where there would be the foam in the doors, which costs a huge amount of, it's a big cost, built to the absolute ultimate spec. This is a slightly lower specification, mainly being heavier, and it does the job. Seats likewise, but the fuel tanks and seat belts are still full WRC and the roll cage are full WRC spec. So it's a more economical safety spec that delivers WRC levels of safety, but at a heavier mass and at a much lower cost. So it makes it gettable for the regional championship cars.
Colin, it was a bit of a blow finding out that Rally SA was not part of the Africa Rally Championship this year. We saw last year that a number of top drivers decided to skip the event for a number of factors. First of all, the championship had been decided with Flash Tunda winning the championship, and then also the logistical challenge of transporting the cars to South Africa. From your point of view, would you like to see the event back in the Africa Rally Championship?
Sean, absolutely yes. And the whole South African rally community would really like it to be part of the championship. But in order to be inscribed in the ARC calendar, there are huge amounts of fees that are payable. And for one or two cars coming from the rest of the championship, it doesn't make economic sense from an organizational point of view. The standard of the rally still remains, and the route and that part of it is still up to ARC standards. It's basically paying the ARC license that is a stumbling block when there's so few cars coming from the rest of Africa. And we can understand the reasons. You mentioned logistics, both in terms of time and cost to bring these cars here it really is large. And I think we've got to find a way around that. I don't think the rally community here has all the answers yet, but certainly lots of questions are being asked, and we're looking to find ways to make it easier, both from a time and a cost point of view, to get the top cars here. Because I think it would be an absolute fantastic showdown to have all our top cars, plus all the top cars running in the ARC Championship. Be a brilliant rally.
Any talk still about the World Rally Championship? The Safari Rally, of course, having a 6-year contract with the World Rally Championship. Any talk, or the support is still there for Kenya?
I think the South African rally community has thrown its weight behind Kenya and said that, look, the Kenyans have gone out of their way to hold a very, very successful event. Let us all go and support it. Each year we have a large contingent of rallyists from here and rally fans who go up and support. So I think the community here has realized that the place for the time being, or for now, for the foreseeable future, for WRC in Africa is in Kenya, and we're all fully behind it and supportive of the Kenya round of WRC.
All right, Colin, let's talk about Formula One. And of course, you've been the man to talk to about the inner workings of Kyle Lamy and, all the negotiations with Formula One. What's the latest regarding the return, the possible return back into the calendar?
Grand Prix will happen in South Africa, just not in 2023. There were a number of issues around that. One of them was the amount of funding that's required, and government support is essential in any country, anywhere in the world, to hold a Grand Prix. That was one issue. So to get all the streams of funding from government sorted, that needed a little bit more time. Then there was the issue of getting onto the calendar, and Spa, the noise around Spa being dumped for South Africa, and combine that with the super tight timeline to hold a South African Grand Prix in April of 23. It was a virtual impossibility for that to happen. Just from the sheer scope of organizing the race, plus some of the minor alterations that need to be done to the track. So the sensible option was to defer it to 24, which gives a lot more time to get the commercial side of it sorted, both in South Africa and the rest of the world, as well as to find a date that works for everybody on the calendar. We also had the promoter the proposed promoter who was pushing for the 23 race. His contract has come up for renewal. So there may be some changes in the promoter of the South African Grand Prix. So all in all, it was a sensible, wise decision to delay it for another year. But I'm very, very confident that it will be on the 2024 calendar.
Now, Colin, of course, South Africa, one of the major centres for international sport. We just saw the World Rugby Sevens, the World Cup being held in Cape Town, a number of international events held every year. What's the commitment from the government? Are they fully committed, fully behind this project for Formula One to return back to South Africa?
Sean, the only time one understands that a government is fully committed is when they stand up and make announcements. But from what we hear, there is an incredibly strong desire, both from a provincial government and a national government, to make this race happen. The government, both from a tourism and trade and industry point of view, understands the immense importance both within the country and as a marketing tool to showcase South Africa to the rest of the world. That we've got the geography and the landscapes as a tourism destination, and B, that we've got the technical capability of putting on an event, and also to showcase some of the absolute brilliance in terms of race car manufacture and development in South Africa. You know, we've got right next door to Kyalami is Hall Speed, who are responsible for the design and development of the current Dakar champion car. So they've, within the field of Dakar, you probably have somewhere between 35 and 40% of the vehicles running in Dakar are built, designed, and manufactured in South Africa. So we've got world-class skills in terms of building cars here. We've got an incredibly strong motorsport heritage here. So, you know, when government wants to showcase everything, they will announce it, and then we can say for certainty that they are fully behind it.
All right. We're talking about adjustments needed to make to the track. Can you tell us, Kyalami, of course, had extensive renovations done to it. What needs to be done for it to become a Category 1 track, that can host Formula One?
It's currently a Category 2, which is good for world sports cars and international GT3 racing. And recently, in the last 12 months, there's a massive move away from gravel traps to tar runoff areas. So all the gravel traps around the corners would have to be changed to tar. That's one of the big things there. And then a huge installation of the Tech Pro barriers, which is one of the largest cost elements in any track modification that has to happen. And then there's minor changes in terms of some of the paddock layout. But essentially, it's tar runoff areas and Tech Pro barriers. Those are the two big things that have come out of, or that's what I understand, are the two big things that have come out of all of the inspections that FIA have and Liberty have done at the track.
I'm sure there's a huge buzz around this. Should Formula One return, it would be Africa's Grand Prix. I'm sure there's a lot of excitement, huh?
Sean, everybody got so excited when some people jumped on the clickbait to try and publicize that we were definitely having a Grand Prix. And then, of course, those of us who kind of thought a little bit said, hold on a bit. And the disappointment was palpable, but then the excitement is absolutely huge. It will be a sellout. The place will be absolutely jam-packed, and South Africa, and more to the point, Johannesburg and Midrand will absolutely buzz to Formula One fever. And it'll be a long-term build-up. You know, the other point about moving the date from April to 23 to 24 is that it allows a lot more eventing and hospitality build-up to the event to get just to make the buzz even more, and just to get the Formula One fever going, it's going to be super exciting. Can't wait for it.
Now, of course, two wheels are really, really big in South Africa, particularly superbike racing. We remember the days when MotoGP used to be held there. Should Formula One return back to South Africa in 2024, what are the chances of MotoGP returning?
Sean, in my own head and from listening to some of the players, I believe that along with Formula One, we will have a round of MotoGP and a round of the World Endurance Car Championship. Whether it's 24 or 25, I'm not entirely sure, but certainly those big three, Formula One, MotoGP, and World Endurance Championship WEC, I'm convinced that they will return to Kyalami shortly.
Fantastic. So great to speak to you. We do hope to see you next year for the Safari Rally. It was absolutely brilliant this year. We do hope to see you in 2023 at the Safari Rally.
Sean, it's in my diary. I'm going to be there. I really, really need to see these cars up close and experience Kenyan hospitality and the way you guys put on a WC event. I'm coming in.
Fantastic. Colin, thank you so much for speaking to us on Motorsport 411.
It's been an absolute privilege. I really enjoy sharing news from the southern tip of Africa. And thank you very much for chatting with us.
That's Colin Hastie of Raceday TV. We'll be back.
Motorsports 411 with Sean Cardovillis.
So that's it for the show this week. Thanks once again to Umang Soni, the club chairman of Delta Motorsports, and also Colin Hastie of Raceday TV. Don't forget to catch Raceday TV on both Facebook and YouTube. This show is recorded at Big City Studio. I'm Sean Cardovillis. See you next week.